joining me today.
Welcome, Chelsey.
I am sitting here with Kevin Acton, the independent candidate for the Vernon-Lumby riding.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. So my first question, you have been Mayor of Lumby for 15 years, I believe.
Yeah.
You've served with the Regional District of North Okanagan. Recently, you were the chair for the Board of Directors.
Correct, yeah.
Why the jump to provincial politics?
Yeah, Chelsey, that's a good question. I mean, there's a few reasons, but mostly, as a mayor of that, that length of time, I've been finding the last 3 years or so, we weren't getting a lot of communication with the province. We're feeling really unattached. And so for me, that was creating a bit of an issue. And it was even, I think it's even on the UBCM's wish list to have more direct contact with the provincial government and a more sort of a substantial stream of funding that we can count on so that we can plan for the future. And so for me, that wasn't really happening. So I thought, well, like your dad says, when you're a kid, if you don't like something, do something about it. So here I am trying to make sure that I can try and make some change.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also wondering, so as people may know, you're a former BC United candidate.
Correct, yeah.
You decided to continue as an independent when the party suspended its campaign.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, if you knew then how things all would have kind of ended up, would you have done things differently?
That's a tough question because it hasn't, right? So, but the reality is, when I decided to run, it was quite a long time ago. It was over a year ago, and BC United really was the only option. The Conservatives really didn't even have a riding association here. They were unorganized. There wasn't really a party to represent. And for me, the coalition party, because I'm just a small C, like center-right, so the coalition party of the old BC Liberals or the new BC United really fit my personality. So that's why I put my name forward to that group. If they hadn't have existed at the time, would I have run independent? I don't know. It's independent. Running as an independent in any government's challenging at the best of times. I think it's actually harder to get in than it is to do the job. I think as an MLA, we all have the same responsibilities to our community, and we have the same staff and funding and availability for us in Victoria. So it would have been, I probably would not have run as an independent had I not been so far invested into it already, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I really enjoy my job as the mayor of Lumby. I could have been happy doing that for as long as they wanted me. But like I said earlier, I think it was time for me to try and make some changes in the provincial government.
And then speaking about, being an independent, not being kind of associated with one party, do you think that would have an impact on the people that you represent, like the people of the riding?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's goods and there's bads, right? So there's the perception, which is tough to deal with because people think that an independent candidate doesn't have any power or ability to make change in Victoria, which really, it's like any other politician. If I belong to a party and they lost the election and ended up in opposition, they're pretty much powerless. And so as an independent, it would be kind of the same thing. If I ended up in opposition to somebody that I didn't agree with, it would be a tough 4 years. But at the same time, if there's a minority government forms and there's myself or a handful of independents, then we can end up actually controlling the balance of power and really making sure that legislation fits our community, right? So that's the upside of it, is independence means that we don't have a party line to follow. And we've seen too many times in the past where partisan politics have really affected communities in a negative way. So when this all went down and I landed squarely on my feet, I actually have to say, I felt really way more grounded, way more inspired, and I'm just a lot more excited to do the job than I was knowing that I might have to vote on a party line. So this left me feeling pretty good in a place that I'm really comfortable with, yeah.
And you've mentioned the issues in the riding and being able to kind of bring a voice to those.
Yeah.
What would you say the big issues in this riding are?
I guess they're probably the same as the rest of the province for the most part, like the overarching, right? Like we don't have walk-in clinics, we're short personal doctors. our ER closed. Some lady had to go to Kelowna to deliver a baby, which is really hard to imagine. We have unhoused, and there's people on the streets, visibly on the streets. So we have drug and alcohol issues, and crime is an issue here. And then, of course, affordability. Two of my children moved to Lethbridge because they couldn't afford British Columbia anymore. And I mean, as I had said at the debate or the forum, I moved up here from Victoria to be in a place that was affordable, and now people are leaving for the same reasons. So that's an issue for me. Yeah.
And it's tough. You gave a lot of issues.
Yeah.
What would you kind of say are the solutions?
So I mean, the housing issue is, to me, is such a no-brainer. Honestly, there is a ton. Like I see it as the mayor. There's a ton of private investment money out there. It's just we make it so difficult for them to make the investment. There's a lot of upfront costs. There's a lot of legislation around it. There's not a lot of security behind it. So when people are, going to invest their hard-earned money, which some developers, they put down every cent they have on a gamble. If the gamble is too high, they're just not going to do it. So we really could make a huge difference in the housing market just by working on the red tape and giving the developers the ability to feel safe in their investment. And we really need to stop making people feel guilty for making money, because investment and hard work, you should be able to make some money. I mean, that's part of the whole reason why you do it. But at the same time, that type of investment helps drive supply, which will drop, the increase in pricing, and it might level the market out. And if we can encourage developers through some incentives to have smaller lots, smaller houses, we can maybe start to see some more housing prices that are a little lower, help families get into homes. And then when I was a BC United candidate, we had an awesome program that we were looking at, which was like a 3-year rent-to-own program where the government would make the developer whole, and then the tenant could pay full rent for 3 years and then use that as 100% of that as a down payment. So I would still look to see, I'll bring that forward as a private member's bill maybe, or see if I can get whoever's in the government at the time to work on that. So the other thing we talked about is the medical system and the walk-in clinics and the stuff like that. I said before, it was poor planning on the province's part. Obviously, we don't have enough doctors, we don't have enough nurses, that just equals poor planning. That's the math, right? But there's some short-term solutions. We can loosen up the regulations and find a way to bring doctors from outside of British Columbia home. Because we've had we didn't have enough seats to train doctors in British Columbia. So British Columbians that wanted to be doctors went to other places to do it, like Ireland and Australia and New Zealand. There's something like 1,200 of them sitting out there that want to come back, but the red tape and the cost coming back to practice in British Columbia is just too much to make it worth their while. I've heard a story recently of a pediatric surgeon or a pediatrician. She works in Washington, but lives in Vancouver. So it's funny, she can work with children in the States, but not with children across a body of water, and it's all due to bureaucracy and red tape. So I would really push to see that short-term solution, and then of course see ourselves invest in more opportunities for students in British Columbia to get into the medical program. And some of that is being done right now, so we just keep moving forward with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And as we kind of wrap up here, as we talked about, I want to give you the opportunity to speak directly to constituents and tell them why they should vote for you on October 19th.
Yeah, so the reason I think you should vote for me on October 19th is because I'm invested. I've been here for 32 years. I've been in the seat as the mayor for 15 years. And I've been involved in so much in this community and raised my children here. It means just as much to me as it does to you, and I want to help us stay in the awesome lifestyle we have and keep the name of the Okanagan as pristine and lovely place to be.
That is Kevin Acton, the independent candidate for the Vernon-Lumby riding.
Thanks, Chelsey.
Good luck.
Thank you.